The saying goes, you can choose when to start a war, but you don't get to choose how it ends. And the US president is learning this the hard way.
We're doing a 5-day period. We'll see how that goes. And if it goes well, we're going to end up with settling this. Otherwise, we'll just keep bombing our little hearts out.
Iran is not a regional problem. It is not our problem. It is a global one.
Tehran, you are fired. You are familiar with this sentence. Thank you for your attention to this matter. The central headquarters of Khatam al-Anbiya.
It is becoming increasingly clear that Trump wants to end this war. The Strait of Hormuz has been choked, gasoline prices are rising back at home, and midterm elections are just around the corner. But this is a war not only for the US to end, Iran and Israel need to be on board. And experts are warning, not the Ayatollahs, but Netanyahu is already working to derail peace talks. I'm Ananya Datta. Let's get to the bottom of this. We are getting contradicting reports of diplomacy resuming as the war inches towards its 1-month mark. The first signs of diplomacy came from US President Donald Trump's Truth Social post this week. He backed off from a major this or that threat he made regarding the reopening of Strait of Hormuz. He reasoned with his decision over quote-unquote very good and productive conversation with Iran. But Iran responded by rejecting any form of negotiations, direct or indirect, and further claimed that the quote-unquote fake news is being used to manipulate the markets. The Iranian military took it one step further by mocking the US for negotiating with itself.
Do not call your defeat an agreement. The era of your promises is over. Today, there are two fronts in the world, truth and falsehood, and any free seeker of truth will not be deceived by your media waves. Has the level of your internal discord reached the point where you are negotiating with yourself?
Now we are hearing that there is a 15-point peace plan sent by Washington to Tehran. Who in Tehran we don't know, but Reuters is reporting that it was sent via Pakistan. And the plan demands that Iran dismantle its nuclear capabilities, seize all uranium enrichment, and provide a permanent commitment to never seeking nuclear weapons. It is also reported that Iran would be required to halt funding and arming allied groups in the region and guarantee that the Strait of Hormuz remains open to international shipping. In exchange, the United States is offering full sanctions relief, assistance in developing a civilian nuclear energy project in southern Iran, and the removal of snapback mechanism that enables the reimposition of sanctions. Reports also indicate that the United States is considering a 1-month ceasefire to facilitate further negotiations on the plan. Iran State TV has reported that the country has rejected Washington's offer.
The fact that they are now talking about negotiations is, in itself, an admission of defeat. Were they not demanding unconditional surrender? So why are they now speaking about negotiations? I will explain this further, because there are no negotiations taking place. But the very fact that an enemy that was seeking our unconditional surrender is now talking about negotiations, requesting talks and mobilizing its highest officials to negotiate with the Islamic Republic means accepting defeat.
You see, the road to peace is not going to be easy, and no expert is claiming so. And the contradicting messaging is just the beginning of it. Things ought to get more complicated once America's quote-unquote greatest friend, Israel, goes rogue.
One of the things Israel has effectively done for its own purposes thus far is to try to create a bar for necessary conditions and outcomes in negotiations between the US and Iran, which is intentionally set at a place that cannot be achieved. In other words, Israel, to put it in blunt, simple terms, Israel has been one of the key contributors to ensuring negotiations fail.
We have seen 3 blatant instances of this. The first one came on 17th of March, when Israeli strikes took out the Secretary of the Supreme National Security Council, Ali Larijani. Many within Iran and outside believe that he was one of the last remaining men close to the Ayatollahs, yet someone who could negotiate an end to the war. Larijani had deep and diverse experience as a long-term politician, seasoned diplomat, and an international strategist. The second instance came 2 days later on the 19th of March, when Israel struck Iran's energy facilities in 2 different locations. The attack saw a response that shook the Gulf economies. Qatar's core LNG plant was hit, wiping out 17% of the country's capacity for the coming 3 to 5 years. The UAE was forced to shut its gas facilities. Kuwait and Saudi Arabia both reported drone strikes on its energy refineries. The attacks led to Trump distancing the US from Israel and called on Netanyahu to not strike Iranian energy. And the third instance came this week. Just as the world was told that there is still some hope of the war ending, Israel went on record to say that the war will continue.
I'm not familiar with our participation in such talks. It's important to note that we continue with the operation. As we speak, Israel and the US, we continue to target military targets in Iran, and we will continue to do that. Now, when you speak about negotiations, we know that at the end of any operation or conflict, you have to go to diplomacy. And we will make sure that the outcome will be that Iran will not have the nuclear capability, will not have the ballistic missiles capabilities, and that we will achieve the goals that we put forward only a month ago.
We can't say for certain if Israel has been kept out of the alleged ongoing talks or it simply does not agree to it. But the ambassador has made it clear that Israel will not stop unless its war goals are met. We have heard this kind of talk from Israel in respect to Gaza as well. And the 2 goals that the ambassador stated, first, no nuclear capability, and second, no ballistic missiles, are goals that most experts agree need ground troops in Iran and cannot be achieved solely through airstrikes.
When negotiations did succeed with the JCPOA agreement under the Obama administration, Israel worked very hard to get that agreement nullified. It succeeded during the first Trump administration. Whenever negotiations have been entered back into, Israel, not just Israel, by the way, there is a cohort, of course, we must not deny American agency. There's a cohort, neoconservatives, hawks inside the US administration who have also pushed a maximalist position.
There are 2 different schools of thought emerging here. One that believes Israel does nothing without the US knowing. And if that is true, then Israel's war posturing should be taken more seriously. Like Axios is reporting that army paratroopers are heading to the Middle East as speculations over American deployment in Iran are rife. Now that prompts the question, is Trump buying time? And if he's not, then why isn't Trump looping Netanyahu in the peace talks? Israel and the US are close military allies, but this is the very first time they're fighting a war together. It's one thing for Trump and Netanyahu to call each other best friends behind podiums, and a whole other situation proving that friendship in the uncharted territory of Iran.
How hopeful are you that this peace deal will work out with Iran?
You're talking about to end it? Well, I think we're going to end it. I can't tell you for sure. I don't like to say this. We've won this. This war has been won.
Every day, the US president says that the US has won this war. But the bombs don't stop in the Middle East. With each passing day, the war is proving more complicated than Donald Trump first thought. I'm Ananya Datta. Thanks for watching, and let me know your comments below in the comment section.